सर्च ना करा लहंगे के लिए, इतनी दुकानें छांट के, इतनी सर्च करके। ये जो लहंगा होता है वो इंडियन ब्राइड्स के लिए बहुत ही मेन चीज़ होती है। तो हर चीज़, नई ज़िंदगी की वो खुशी जुड़ी होती है, आपकी फीलिंग, आपका प्यार, सब कुछ जुड़ा होता है इसमें। अभी भी इसको देख के मेरे आगे वो सारा सीन याद आ गया पूरा। एक वो पूरी जो भी वो शादी मेरे लिए शादी थी, उनके लिए खेल था, जो भी एक खेल कह लो जो उन्होंने रचा था, वो सारा एक एक मोमेंट, एक एक बात, एक एक वो सब याद आ गया इसको देख के। जलाने को मन करता है उसको। अब तो सभी खत्म हो गया इसमें, तो I just feel like throwing it.
This system, the arranged marriage system, is being tested severely and needs to be scrutinized very, very closely to make sure that there are no more tragedies. And these tragedies are so difficult that every story is painful to deal with. It is not even one is acceptable, and there are thousands of them.
Every year, thousands of non-resident Indians, or NRIs as they are called, return home to India to seek a suitable bride. Their foreign citizenship makes them prime candidates in the traditional arranged marriage market. In India, the moment a baby girl is born, her parents start worrying about her marriage. As she becomes a young adult, the pressure increases for her to fulfill what is considered to be her true destiny. Namita Jain was 21 and a university undergraduate when her parents began to search for a suitable husband. The Jains are a middle-class family and have raised Namita according to their idea of traditional Hindu values.
हमारे हिंदुस्तान का ये रिवाज है कि जो बेटी जब हो जाती है तो उसको दूसरे घर में जाना ही पड़ता है। तो हर पेरेंट्स के मन में यही इच्छा होती है कि बेटी को अच्छा घर मिले, अच्छे लोग मिलें, ताकि उसको मायके की पीछे से कुछ याद नहीं आए, इतना उनको प्यार मिले आगे घर में जाके कि उनको पीछे का कुछ नहीं रहे।
Namita's cousin by marriage, Ashok Sharma, was certain he had found a good match. His relatives lived in Canada and were searching for a bride for their son Pankaj. Namita's parents trusted their nephew, so it seemed like a perfect arrangement, one without risk.
रिश्ता मैंने नहीं करवाया, मेरी मिसेज ने, और इनकी सिस्टर मौसी की बेटी है। मैंने भी कहा ठीक है मामा है तो कोई ऐसा बात नहीं, बात करवाई। सारी बात भी अच्छी ढंग से हुई, इन्होंने शादी भी बहुत जल्दी मांगी।
The Jains were quite nervous the day Pankaj Sharma and his parents arrived. They knew the Sharmas had been interviewing other young women. Pankaj appeared to be an excellent prospect, and the Jains really hoped he'd be impressed with their daughter.
They came to my house, and after 5 minutes they said, we are interested in this marriage and you ask the girl. Then I told my parents I want to have a talk with a boy for a minute, and then only I can say, because he didn't have to talk to me, and he said okay fine. By seeing me he said fine, I'm ready to marry her. फिर हम दोनों को हमारे रूम में भेजा, हमने बात करी। ही जस्ट आस्क्ड, उसने मुझसे जनरल क्वेश्चंस पूछे, व्हाट आर योर हॉबीज़, और क्या करती हो, किस भगवान में ज़्यादा फेथ है एंड ऑल ये वो। ही सेड कि भाई मेरे को ऐसी लड़की चाहिए जो मेरी फैमिली को समझ सके, मेरी सिस्टर्स, मेरे जीजाज, मेरे ब्रदर्स, सबका ख्याल रख सके। मैंने कहा वो उसमें आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगी। ही सेड फाइन। बस हाँ हो गई, फिर engagement वो सब आए, engagement हुई.
But boy meets girl is only the first part of this equation. In a traditional framework, there are unwritten rules that a woman's family must follow.
नहीं, बेटी पराया धन तो मानी ही जाती है, क्योंकि जब जन्म हो जाता है तभी से उसका ये होता है कि उसको अच्छा पति मिले, उसके घर जाए, तो उसकी तैयारी बचपन पैदा होते ही शुरू हो जाती है. उसके लिए जो हमारे कस्टम्स हैं उसके हिसाब से उसको दान दहेज इसको बोलते हैं, वो उसका तैयार करना शुरू हो जाता है. तैयार करके और उनको सौंप दिया जाता है लड़की के साथ. सब कुछ दे दिया तो लड़की को दे दी तो सब कुछ दे दिया, ये माना जाता है. तो उसी हिसाब से उसको बड़ा किया जाता है. अच्छे संस्कार दिए जाते हैं, एजुकेशन अच्छी दी जाती है, ताकि उसको वहाँ पे ससुराल बोलते हैं अपने इन लॉज के यहाँ जाके कोई परेशानी ना आए.
In all cultures, it's not unusual for friends and families to give money and presents to newlyweds. But dowry is a payment made to the groom's family for accepting the lifelong financial responsibility for the bride. Even though this long-standing tradition clearly implies the inequality of women, today it's more widespread than ever, even practiced by Muslims and Christians.
So if you put them on a scale, a weighing scale, you put a girl and you put a boy, and the boy then starts off with being that much heavier socially. What is a thing which is going to equalize her? Not her education, not her talent, not any part of her own identity or personality. It's basically material goods. And that is what is dowry. So basically, dowry is a compensation for an unequal being, for being an unequal being. And marriage is the time when this is expressed.
Engagement Day. The costs of Namita's wedding are escalating daily, but the Jains know they're expected to show their gratitude in this way. They have rented an expensive banquet hall so the bride and groom's extended families can meet for the first time. Then, according to tradition, the wealth that Namita's family have so carefully saved is now gifted one piece at a time to her fiancé's family. Gold and cash totaling $20,000 is personally given to each member of the Sharma family, from grandparents to kids.
नहीं, हमारी शादियों में इतना नहीं था. अब तो कितने साल हो गए, बट अब तो डे बाय डे ज़्यादा ही ये होता जा रहा है.
The display of wealth is also crucial. It's not just giving wealth. If you don't display the wealth, so the in-laws can say, look what I've got. That's what, my son is worth so much. This is what I've got. But also from the girl's side, the display of what they've given also adds to their social status in a world increasingly where material goods determine how good or bad you are.
Both families seem happy, at least for now.
बिफोर मैरिज मेरी कज़न के थ्रू इनसे पूछवाया गया था, 4 बार ही पूछवाया गया था कि आपको कोई डाउरी चाहिए, आपको कुछ चाहिए. दे सेड नहीं चाहिए, हमें कुछ नहीं चाहिए.
But no never means no in these circumstances, and that's when the problems began. Only 3 days after the engagement, it's wedding day. Namita is the happy bride dreaming of her new life in Canada. The Jains have managed to pull together a lavish wedding in a very short time. More than 500 guests arrived to share in Namita's big day. Everyone waits for the groom to arrive on his white horse. But this wedding video, despite the beautiful dresses and festive music, hides another, more painful reality.
ये बारात भी इतनी लेट लाई थी, हमें कुछ लग रहा था कि पता नहीं बारात क्यों इतनी लेट हो गई है बारात। तो पंडित जी भी बड़े वो थे कि ये लोग अभी तक बारात नहीं लाए हैं। पंडित जी को तो हम साथ ही ले गए थे, बट हमने कहा पंडित जी अब क्या बताएं, हम लड़की वाले हैं, हम तो कुछ कह ही नहीं सकते। तो हमारी तरफ से कोई ऐसी गलती ना हो जाए कि हमारी लड़की को आगे जाके कुछ ऐसा सुनना पड़े। भाई ये ना कि शादी ये लोग इस तरह से करके छोड़ के चले जाएं, कई बार ऐसा हो जाता है। तो लोग इसलिए ज़्यादा रिस्पेक्ट लड़के वालों को ही दिए जाते हैं। हमारे इंडियन कल्चर ही ऐसा बना हुआ है।
After a nerve-wracking 3-hour wait, the groom finally arrives, led by the only happy people at this wedding, his own dancing relatives. Now the priest begins the Hindu marriage ceremony. Everything seems back on track. In the final ritual, the couple circles the sacred fire 7 times. This is the beginning of their journey together as man and wife. But nothing here is what it seems. At this critical moment, the Sharmas tell Ashok, the matchmaker, they want even more money. The groom, they say, is about to embark on a bold new business venture in Canada, and he needs another $50,000.
अब मैंने मम्मी से बात की ना कि क्या इस टाइम सारे रिश्तेदार बैठे हैं, आप सब क्या बोल रहे हो? नहीं ये तो होता ही है, जो रिवाज है। मैं क्या रिवाज की बात है, मैंने आपसे पहले ही कहा कि बहुत अच्छी लड़की है। और आप ये क्या, जैसे जैसे मैंने समझाया कि उनको उस टाइम तो बात को ख़त्म किया, फिर उसके बाद में इनके साथ जो शुरू किया।
When they told me, I thought whether I'm dreaming or I actually didn't believe it. I thought, hey, come on, you must be kidding actually. But then they said, no, it's a fact. He's asking for such money.
तो उस टाइम तो हम लड़की को तो बिठा नहीं सकते थे। शादी हो गई है, सब कुछ हमने इतना अच्छा किया है, इतना सब कुछ किया है, तो बाद में अपना देखते हैं, बात इनसे।
डर तो था, बट वी कुडंट शेयर आवर फीलिंग्स विद एनीबॉडी। किससे बात करते, किससे शेयर करें? अपनी ही चीज़ है।
सब तो हम ही कहेंगे ना कि आपने पहले नहीं देखा या क्या नहीं करा, क्या नहीं।
इनकी ये सब हरकतें देख के थोड़ा बहुत तो फीलिंग अंदर से डर था।
मैं तो वही रूम में ही हाथ जोड़ रही हूँ उनके, भाई देखो हमने बेटी दे दी है, अपनी हैसियत से ज़्यादा सब कुछ करा है, कोई कमी हमने छोड़ी नहीं है।
Trying to recover from the shock, Namita's father fades into the crowd as she is led to the car by her brother Amit. In this emotional moment, when Namita is about to leave her family forever, Amit looks anxiously for his parents, but they're nowhere to be found.
मेरा इतना उस टाइम मूड ऑफ था कि मैं कैसे जाके इस लड़की का सामना करूं और इसको विदा करूं।
I do think that there is definitely a feeling that she will better herself, and therefore by bettering herself, the family gets better. That most definitely is a feeling, and you know, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong in that feeling. I mean, you would like your daughter to be married and happily married, but the thing is to do it without even checking. And without, I mean, and very often the girl herself is keen to get married. she also has these dreams, which young woman doesn't. And so when you do what you do, at how many levels is your exploitation?
Moments later, the Jains are able to pull themselves together and bid their daughter goodbye. Namita is completely unaware of the new demands made by her in-laws. Her parents don't have the heart to tell her that they are now pressuring them for an exorbitant amount of money. Money they don't have. Namita and her new husband head off to the foothills of the Himalayas. Ironically, their destination is one of the most popular honeymoon getaways in India.
When we went to Shimla on honeymoon, he used to drink. जो हमें बोला गया था कि ये ड्रिंक नहीं करता, और मैं तो शॉक थी. इसने जब ऑर्डर किया वहाँ पे जाके होटल में कि मैं ड्रिंक मंगाई, ऑर्डर करी, मैं इसकी तरफ देख रही थी. मैंने कहा हमें तो बोला गया था आप ड्रिंक नहीं करते हो. ही स्टार्टेड लाफिंग. मैं चुप हो गई. नहीं, मैं ड्रिंक नहीं करता. मैं शादी के दिनों में मैंने पीनी शुरू कर दी, मुझे अच्छी लगी तो मैंने कहा मैं और पी लेता हूँ. मैं क्या कह सकती थी उसमें? मैं न्यू थी, मैं कुछ बोलती तो मैं फंसती, नहीं बोलती तो मैं फंसती. उसने बोला कि इसने पी के drunk okay, he used to become unconscious and he used to abuse me. Daily he has abused me in Shimla. Your parents has not given us anything. My mother is not happy. My sisters are not happy. You have spoiled my life. My life is spoiled getting married to you.
Namita's honeymoon comes to an abrupt end when her husband's mother summons him back to Delhi with an urgent phone call. It seems his whole family is pining for his company and want him to spend his last days with them before returning to Canada. Back in Delhi, the couple becomes the focus of the extended family.
टाइम ही नहीं दिया जाता था. ये लोग उसको अपने साथ ही बिठाते थे. कभी हमें रात को 3 बजे तो हमें छोड़ते थे ये लोग. 3 बजे मैं पहले कॉफ़ी बना रही हूँ उनके लिए. कॉफ़ी बनाओ, हमारी एक ही भाभी है, कॉफ़ी बनाओ.
With 2 days left in India, Pankaj finally confronts Namita with his parents' demands.
मैं को किस लिए कन्विंस करूँ, किस चीज़ के लिए कन्विंस करूँ? मुझे ये नहीं पता था कि 15 लाख की तब डिमांड करी है. उस दिन पंकज ने अपने मुंह से निकाला, क्या तुम्हें नहीं मालूम 15 लाख के लिए तुम कन्विंस नहीं कर सकती? एंड मैं तो बिल्कुल उस समय वो थी कि 15 लाख ही कहाँ से क्या हो रहा है, क्या बातें जा रही हैं, क्या नहीं जा रही, कुछ भी नहीं पता चल रहा था. और seeing my family, seeing the health of my parents and seeing their financial condition, मैंने उन्हें कुछ नहीं बोला उस समय. तुमने ख्वाब तो हमें ऐसे दिखाए कि तुम बड़े रईसज़ादे हो, किया क्या है तुम? NRI लड़के के लिए ये सब चीज़ें होती हैं. लाखों लेके फिर रही है दुनिया NRI के लिए. सेटल ऐसे नहीं होते कनाडा में. क्या क्या करना पड़ता है कनाडा ले जाने के लिए. तुम तो अपनी खुदकिस्मती समझो कि तुम्हारे चंगुल में ये लड़का फंस गया है. तुम्हारी मम्मी तो दिल्ली पुलिस में थी, हमें तो सोचा था गाड़ी आएगी, इतना लाख कैश मिलेगा, क्या कमाया नहीं है, एक ही लड़की हो. मैं तो शॉकिंग स्टेट में थी. इन्होंने मतलब जैसे कहते हैं ना, एक दिमाग को सुन कर दिया था इन्होंने मेरा दिमाग. ना मैं कुछ करने की, सोचने समझने की, इन्होंने सब कुछ ख़त्म कर दिया था. मेरे दिमाग में वो सब एक वो चीज़ बिठा दी थी कि नमिता, यू आर नथिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ देम.
Pankaj returns to Canada. His vacation has come to an end. Namita is left with her in-laws, people she barely knows.
जब पंकज गया उसके बाद इनका टॉर्चर हद से ज़्यादा बढ़ गया। मेन इनका टॉर्चर तब शुरू हुआ। और ज़्यादा नहीं खाने को देना, मोटे हो जाओगे, वहाँ पे फिट रहना चाहिए, वहाँ पे इतनी हार्ड लाइफ है। मतलब मेरे को हर उसमें ये शो करना कि तुम वहाँ के हिसाब से फिट नहीं हो, यू आर नॉट एट ऑल फिट फॉर दैट कंट्री। तुम्हारे को बहुत चेंजेस करने हैं। स्पेशली सिस्टर इन लॉ उठती थी 5 बजे, डस्टिंग का कपड़ा मेरे हाथ में पकड़ाती थी, यहाँ से भी कर दो, वहाँ से भी कर दो, यहाँ भी है, वहाँ भी है, ये सब कर देना, और जाके सो जाती थी। ये सब सो रहे हैं, उठ रहे हैं 10 बजे 11 बजे, और मैं अपना डस्टिंग कर रही हूँ, सारे घर को वो कर रही हूँ, ये वो। उस समय तो ये था कि बस या तो मैं सुसाइड कर लूँ, या मैं फिर उस समय ये होता है या तो बिल्कुल ही मेंटली मेरा वो ख़राब हो जाता, मेंटल बैलेंस। इस समय इतनी हालत कर दी थी।
A few weeks later, the Sharmas sent Namita back to her parents to wait for her Canadian papers. They returned to Canada with $20,000 worth of gold and cash and all Namita's jewelry.
मैं जिस दिन अपने घर आई हूँ, मैं अब इतना रिलैक्स थी कि मैं पता नहीं कहाँ से निकल के आ रही हूँ।
Namita is told the only way she can ever join her husband in Canada is if her parents can come up with the $50,000. But they can't. "500 kilometers north of Delhi, in a working-class neighborhood in the city of Ludhiana, Sonia Kaur has been waiting. Just like Namita, Sonia's husband returned to Canada 15 days after they were married.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service. Please check the number and dial again. Thank you for telling.
अगर कोई जानवर भी रखते हैं ना, उसको जब छोड़ते हैं ना, उसके लिए भी हमें वक्त लगता है कि उसे कोई मालूम नहीं कैसे रखेगा कैसे नहीं, ठीक है ना। मैं तो फिर भी एक इंसान हूँ, उसने मुझे क्या सोच कर छोड़ा, क्या सोच कर छोड़ा उसने मुझे, ये मुझे नहीं मालूम। बस आगे।
Sonia has been hiding away in her parents' home since her husband took off 4 years ago. Her nightmare began when her family was approached by her future mother-in-law. She'd been told about Sonia by a traditional matchmaker from her neighborhood.
ओके बोलते बचोला बोलते हैं ना, उसने प्रोविजन पूरा दिया कि बंदे अच्छे हैं, बाहर रहते हैं, कि आपकी लड़की बाहर चले जाएगी। सभी का यही एम होता है कि हमारी लड़की अच्छे तरीके से रहे, कि किसी को प्रॉब्लम ना आए।
उन्होंने देखा कि बाहर गया हुआ लड़का ठीक ही होगा, ठीक है, कि मेरी लड़की बाहर जाएगी, आज हम ऐसे हैं, कल को वो हमें वहाँ पर बुला लेगी, हम भी सेट हो जाएंगे, यही सोच कर किया होगा मेरे ख्याल से। तो बाकी उनको मालूम होगा कि इसके कारण किया है। बस भैया,
एक तो हमने लोन भी लिया, दूसरा हमने अपनी लैंड भी बिक्री किया, ठीक है, ऐसे करके पैसे पूरे करके दिया, रिश्तेदारों से मांगा तब दिया पैसे।
The groom's mother seemed to think she had found the perfect match for her son. It helped that Sonia's family could scrape together a $15,000 dowry. Meanwhile, Sonia's ailing grandfather wanted to see her married before he died. But her fiancé couldn't come to India on such short notice. So a solution, though unconventional, was agreed upon. Sonia would be married to her husband's photograph.
उस टाइम मुझे रफ लगा कि जैसे कि साथ में दूल्हा नहीं होता कि कैसे लोग मजाक करेंगे मुझे, ऐसे भी कोई होता है, कोई ऐसे शादी होती है। तो फिर भी हमने उनकी बात नहीं टाली कि चलो कि हो गई, शादी हो गई।
Seven months later, Sonia's husband Ashwini Mehmi finally arrived from Vancouver. Her family now arranged for a proper wedding, driving them deeper into debt.
मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई कि इतना स्मार्ट मेरा हस्बैंड है। काफ़ी स्मार्ट था कि मुझे जैसे स्नैप्स पर लगते थे ना, वैसे तो लगते ही नहीं थे कि हाँ मेरी तो किस्मत, मैंने मोती दान की है, ये है वो है।
But Sonia's luck quickly ran out. Ashwini demanded an additional $15,000 before he would allow her to join him in Canada.
मैं अपने घर वालों पर बोझ हूँ। मैं कई बार सोचती हूँ जैसे कि हाँ ये भगवान ने मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों किया।
Her parents refused. Now, like Namita, she was stranded.
क्योंकि बाद में जो लड़की होती है कोरी चादर की जैसी होती है कि एक बार उसे दाग लग जाए वो धुलता नहीं। मैं अपने आप को कई बार तो सोचती हूँ मैं नहीं गलत, भगवान गलत है जो मेरे मन में ऐसी बातें लाता है। अभी मैं किसी के पास नहीं जाती, आस पड़ोस में ही बहुत कम जाती हूँ और रिश्तेदारों में तो बहुत ही कम जाती हूँ क्योंकि बहुत तरह तरह के सवाल पूछते हैं। मुझे बहुत शर्म आती है कि पहले 1 साल तो मैंने झूठ मूठ ही कह देना कि हाँ मुझे उसके लेटर आते हैं, फ़ोन्स आता है कि शायद उसका फ़ोन आ जाए, मैं उस पर विश्वास करती थी। 1 साल तो मैंने ऐसे ही बोला, फेंकती रही कि नहीं अब आएगा अब आएगा। अब मुझे उम्मीद नहीं।
Back in Delhi, Namita receives a devastating letter from Canada. It's the only word she's had from her husband since he left India more than a year ago.
This is regarding divorce judgment from Superior Court of Justice, Canada, Brampton Court. This states that Pankaj Sharma, the husband of my daughter Namita, his petition, the divorce petition has been filed over there, and the judge has given the judgment on divorce. And they have given us a 1 month time to contest it, to appeal it, so that it can be either delayed or it can be deferred.
It is really, really very shocking for me. I've not seen single thing. But this thing has shattered every feeling for him. They all have ruined my life, my whole life, my career, everything.
In a sworn affidavit, Pankaj claims that Namita deserted him and that they've been separated for a year, beginning the day he left India. Getting a divorce in Canada is very easy, especially if there are no children or property involved. All you need is an affidavit proving separation for a year and the decree is issued. Men like Namita's husband are fully aware that Canada's divorce laws work to their advantage.
If she gets a copy of the divorce application that says a court proceeding has begun against you, and she actually manages to at least retain counsel to appear on her behalf and perhaps file some documents, the only thing she could say is, well, hang on a minute, I didn't even know we were separated, and so the year hasn't expired. But all that would result in is extending the length of the time that she's married to this person who's probably a criminal, or at least, at the very least, certainly has significantly misrepresented his affairs to her family and to the wife. So again, the end result of what she'll get from it is probably not a lot, except a longer period of time before the Canadian court grants the divorce.
एक डिवोर्सी का लेबल लगना कोई फैशन लेबल नहीं है, आपके पीछे लगना बहुत बड़ी बात होती है। और किसी में अब्रॉड वगैरह में तो ये आम है, लेकिन इंडिया में रहना एक लड़की के लिए विद दैट थिंग इज़ वेरी डिफ़िकल्ट टू लिव, वेरी वेरी डिफ़िकल्ट।
Namita is desperate to appeal. As a foreigner, she discovers she has 60 days if she's allowed into Canada. When she goes to the Canadian High Commission for her travel visa, she's completely prepared. She brings bank statements, property deeds, letters of support, her marriage certificate, and the divorce judgment. But the immigration bureaucracy defeats her. She is refused entry into Canada based on, quote, insufficient ties to return to India.
If you've got a situation where the husband is married in order to get money from the wife's family, a dowry system or something like that, and then the husband doesn't intend to carry through on the sponsorship or with the marriage, and it's from a country where a visa is required in order to visit, then the husband's pretty well scot-free. Because I think it would be very unlikely that the woman would ever be able to get to Canada to assert her rights in a Canadian court. I don't want to say racist, but it's very, the treatment you receive really depends on what your nationality and your race is.
The time for an appeal has come and gone. According to Canadian law, Namita is now a divorced woman. Her situation is further complicated since Indian law does not recognize a divorce decree from Canada.
It's not easy to remarry again. People used to say, okay, you'll get remarried. No, it's not easy. Even I was not married. If somebody says me to marry a divorced person, no, I won't marry him. Then how will a person will marry me? Just tell me. Nobody. It's very easy to understand anybody's problem, but to take this step, it's very difficult.
Divorce is a complete no-no. There is a strong stigma against a woman who is divorced, against a woman who is single. There is a stigma. And that stigma is there even among so-called educated people. And I say so-called educated because from their practices, they are among the least educated as far as women are concerned.
To hide the shame of Namita's abandonment, her parents have moved away from the family home. They take new routes to work to avoid meeting friends and neighbors. When they do, they lie and say that Namita is living in Canada. But unlike the majority of families in similar situations, the Jains have decided to fight back. Fortunately, they can afford the expense of a court case and are determined to see that justice is done. Finally, after a long investigation, a small measure of success. Delhi police have charged Pankaj and his parents with cruelty to a spouse, making dowry demands, and fraud. Sonia dreams of being a beautician. She's set up a small business in her parents' house. As she talks with clients who share her experience, she begins to feel less isolated and alone. Kamalpreet also married an Indian who lives in England. He too left 15 days after their wedding, taking with him $6,000 in dowry. And like all the others, had his parents demand more cash before she could join him. Her parents refused.
फ़ोन भी नहीं आया, फ़ोन करो तो पापा से बात कर लो, मैं नहीं जानता। मैंने कहा शादी किसने की, पापा ने की या आपने की मेरे साथ? तो पापा अगर अलाउड करेंगे तो ठीक है, अदरवाइज़ नहीं, मैं रख नहीं सकता कोई। मैंने शादी कर ली वहाँ पे, लग रही है यहाँ पे। जब मैंने कमलप्रीत की कहानी सुनी, मुझे ऐसा लगा कि ये भी तो मेरी जैसी लड़की है, और भी ऐसी कई लड़की हैं, सब में एक जैसी जान होती है। पर ऐसे क्यों करते हैं लोग? किसी को ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए। किसी के साथ किसी से जिस्मानी खिलाड़ कर चले जाएं तो कोई अच्छी बात थोड़ी ना है। पर लड़के नहीं सोचते, आते हैं अपनी ऐश करते और चले जाते हैं। मैं तो यही सोचा है। पर ये देखो आपके सामने है, ये देखो कि कितनी एज होगी, कितनी एज है। अभी हमारा ये हाल है, आगे जाकर क्या होगा? ठीक है ना।
पंजाब के लोगों एक इनकलाब आ रहे हैं।
The largest number of Indian immigrants to Canada come from the Punjab, where Sonia lives. Former cabinet minister turned social activist B.S. Ramovalia has been holding rallies, trying to mobilize others to take action on behalf of deserted brides. He has risked his political career going public with his outrage. All the women on this stage have been abandoned by their non-resident Indian husbands. Some are now forced to raise their children as single mothers. Ramovalia estimates there are at least 10,000 cases in Punjab alone.
It is organized crime. The system here is unending. Sometimes it takes 5 years, 7 years, 9 years to get the case finalized. They said, okay, we are not to lose anything. You will become old from 21 to 30 years. Our son, even at the age of 45, can get another wife aged 20, 22, 23. So in every aspect, the wife is the loser.
4 years after being abandoned, Sonia has decided to try a new program set up by the Ludhiana police to help women like her.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ? ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ
ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀਪੂਰਵਕ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ, ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ।
ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਲ 2 ਸਾਲ ਵੇਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੋਏ, ਕੱਲ ਵੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੋਏ। ਸਾਡਾ ਐਫਰਟ ਇਹ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਸ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਜਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜਸਟਿਸ ਮਿਲੇ ਔਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੈਰਿਜ ਸੇਵ ਹੋਵੇ, ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਸੈਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਜਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ। ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀਆਂ ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝ ਸਕਦੀ ਹਾਂ। ਦੇਖੋ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸੋ, ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝ ਸਕਦੀ ਹਾਂ। ਦੇਖੋ ਇਹ ਭਾਜੀ ਹੁਣੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਹਨਾ, ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਵੀ ਇਹੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ, ਮੈਂ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਲ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਦੇ ਮੂੰਹ ਤੇ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ। ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹੋ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਰੇਕ ਇਨਸਾਨ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਦੇਣਗੇ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਜਿੰਨੀ ਦੇਰ ਇਹ ਕੋਲੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਨੀ ਦੇਰ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਜਾਣੀ ਕਿ ਸੁਣਵਾਈ 'ਚ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਿਕਲੇਅਰ ਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਹਾਂ। ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਮੈਂ ਆਈ ਕੈਨ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ ਦਿਸ ਮਸਟ ਹੈਵ ਹੈਪਨਡ। ਮਗਰ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣ ਲੱਗੀ ਹਾਂ, ਆਪਣੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਿੰਗ ਸੈੱਲ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਥਰੂ, ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਦੇ ਥਰੂ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ।
Taking advantage of young women and their families' fantasy of a better life in the West, these grooms are shielded by Canadian immigration, divorce, and privacy laws. They assume they are untouchable.
These scoundrels know that they can get away with it, that the system has no inbuilt mechanism of catching it, leave alone addressing the problem. And it's that knowledge that is encouraging people and is being picked up by others who wouldn't even have thought of it earlier. So it is becoming a scam rather than just a sporadic crime.
Canadian courts have noticed a sharp increase in the number of one-year divorces in the Indian community. Meanwhile, social workers are seeing another shocking trend.
One such individual last year we interviewed, he was married at the intake. When we took the intake, he was married for 4 times. So when we asked him, how can you be in such a short span married 4 times? And he would say, well, the reason it is that the women that I have haven't been honest with me. So how did you find out if you only spend with them a week and you come over here? How is it that these women haven't been honest? Like, what is it that you find here that you weren't able to find when you were in the process of getting married? And no real explanation would be given.
The Delhi High Court has given the Sharmas a deadline to return to India and face the charges brought against them by the Delhi police. A court order has been pasted on their home. If the Sharmas fail to appear, their house will be seized.
पूरा भरोसा है कि इन्होंने जो क्राइम किया है इनको ज़रूर आज पनिशमेंट मिलनी ही चाहिए, क्योंकि हम लोग बहुत टाइम से सफ़र कर रहे हैं। लड़की वाले हैं, 2 साल हो गए हमें सफ़र करते हुए, इन्होंने हमारे साथ बहुत चीटिंग किया है। तो मेरे को कॉन्फिडेंस है कि इनको आज ज़रूर पनिशमेंट इनको मिलेगी। DK शर्मा एंड फैमिली।
Four hours later, the case comes before the court. The Sharmas fail to appear. Their lawyer pleads for more time. Pankaj and his mother are unable to come to India. He claims that she is critically ill and Pankaj must care for her. The court is swamped with cases and this hearing is not a high priority, so a new date is given 4 weeks from today.
We have to come again. Gone through, we'll be passing through the same ordeal.
Both the countries' laws are basically wrong. What I say, whether it's Canada, whether it's India. The culprits are running like this and the complainants are suffering.
In Toronto, we approached Namita's ex-husband, Pankaj Sharma, for his explanation.
We have met with Namita and her parents, and we would like to give you your side of the story. Calling to ask you if you'd consider being interviewed for the film, both you and your parents.
Yeah, no problem. So I'll talk to my lawyer.
Okay.
And he will definitely give you a call, and then maybe if you want, we all can meet up and whatever you want to know, whatever which we think is a very good idea, because the fraud should definitely come out.
Sure.
And yeah, so I'll talk to my lawyer, and then he will definitely give you a call. Okay?
Sure. And what's his name?
What's
your lawyer's name? Who'll be calling me?
Probably, I don't remember his last name. Is Miss Berkey, something like that. He'll be in touch with you.
Okay. Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
After sending him several letters and waiting 4 weeks for a response, we went to his sister's home where he claimed to live.
Hi, I'm from the CBC. I'm looking for Pankaj Sharma. He doesn't live here? Do you know where he lives? So you don't know where Pankaj lives?
It's not my fucking problem, just go.
After intensive investigation, when we were unable to make further contact with Pankaj, we began to look for Sonia's husband Ashwini, who lives in Vancouver. It took a private investigator 4 months to find him.
Hi there. Hi, how are you? We're making a CBC documentary, and we wanted to just talk to you about your marriage with Satwinder Kaur.
Yes, I received a letter actually. I received your letter.
Uh-huh.
And I tried to call you a couple of days ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And is this on?
Yes, we're making it for CBC.
Could you please actually
So we wanted to
turn it off?
we just wanted you to tell
Yeah.
us, you know, your side of it, so that we have both sides of the story.
He didn't want to tell his side of the story on camera, but he did invite us to come in.
I arrived there in India 10 o'clock. The evening time they start fighting. They were drunk and I want to go my hometown. They don't even let me go my home. So
Who was drunk? The father and
the father, whole family. I saw those people, they're fighting every day.
According to Ashwini, as soon as he arrived in India, he gave Sonia and her family his passport and $15,000 in cash for safekeeping. Then he said that Sonia and her family kept him in their home against his will.
They forced me to get married. This is what happened.
He claimed that after the wedding, Sonia's family kept all his money, but her mother, in a moment of weakness, gave him back his passport when they dropped him off at the airport. Once safely back in Canada, he immediately disconnected his phone and Sonia never heard from him again.
You guys are still married?
No. Actually, we are not married. Okay. I have a divorce. Okay.
Do you have a divorce?
Yeah. I have a divorce in Canada.
We went back to Sonia and her family to show them the divorce judgment from British Columbia.
इसके बारे में आप लोगों को कुछ मालूम था क्या?
Gì vậy? Hả? Có rồi con đi.
कभी भी
In Delhi, after an emotionally and financially difficult year, Namita and her parents are still trying to secure some form of justice through the Indian courts. Now their battle has paid off. Pankaj has not appeared for any of the hearings. The Delhi High Court has declared him a fugitive from justice and demanded the repayment of $15,000.
इसका मतलब ये है कि अब वो इंडिया में वांटेड क्रिमिनल है. अब वो क्रिमिनल की लिस्ट में आ गया है कि जो उसने फ्रॉड जो चीटिंग किया है वो अब पीओ डिक्लेयर प्रोक्लेम ऑफेंडर हो गया. भगोड़ा जिसे कहते हैं इंडियन उसमें. अब वो इंडिया कभी एंटर नहीं कर सकता यहाँ पे. एटलीस्ट उसको सज़ा तो मिली. अब इतने स्ट्रगल के बाद हमारे उसको कुछ तो सज़ा मिली. आई एम वेरी रिलीव कि जो उसने हमारे साथ चीटिंग, जो मेरी फैमिली को उसने पेन्स दिए, सबसे बड़ा जो मेरे साथ उसने फ्रॉड किया, जिसने शादी के मतलब को कुछ समझा ही नहीं, उसको कुछ तो सज़ा मिली. मैंने कम से कम इतनी कोशिश, मैंने और मेरी फैमिली ने जो मेरा साथ दिया उसको सज़ा दिलाने में, कि उसका इंडिया जो उसका लैंड था वहाँ वो आ ही नहीं सकता.
Are we going to treat our women with the dignity and respect that they deserve, or are we going to continue to ignore these issues, not deal with them? The institutions that are leading within the community have a moral and ethical and religious and cultural obligations to speak on this issue. And to the extent that they are silent, to that extent, they are giving a sort of carte blanche approval for these men to continue.
And unless you speak out, the person who is, it's not a question of dishonor, who's totally exploited your daughter, he gets away with it. But that doesn't seem to be an issue. And therefore, the silence needs to be broken. And again in India, what we have seen, it is women themselves who have to break it.
लोगों ने तो लेडीज़ को ऐसे ही समझा है ना, अब मैं बताऊंगी लेडीज़ क्या होती है। मैं बहुत जगह गई हूँ, सभी से मैंने अपने बारे में सभी से मैंने बातचीत की, किसी ने कोई हल नहीं निकाला। अब मैं निकाल कर दिखाऊंगी। जब कभी आप फिर आएंगे ना, देखना यही सोनिया कहाँ पर होगी। मैं सच कहती हूँ भैया, आप हंसी में वो कर रहे हैं ना, मैं सच कहती हूँ।